Hello, English learners. Welcome back to the Millie English podcast, your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations. I'm Millie, and I'm really happy you're here with me today. Maybe you're walking, cooking, cleaning, commuting, or just lying on your bed scrolling through your phone. Wherever you are, I'm glad you clicked on this episode. This episode is around B1 level, so the English is simple, slow, and natural. Something you can really use in real conversations. You don't need to understand every single word to learn something. Just grab the parts you understand, borrow the sentences you like, and let the rest pass by. No pressure, no stress. Real conversation first, vocabulary hidden inside, no boring lists while you're trying to enjoy your day. At the end, we'll do a calm little word tour. We'll pick some useful phrases from the episode, explain them, and help them stay in your mind. If you enjoy learning English like this, you can like this episode and subscribe to the Millie English podcast. It really helps more learners find us. And I'd love to hear from you. After you listen, write one sentence in the comments. Tell me, do you ever write in English? Or do you only read and listen? Okay, so today we're talking about something that most English learners completely ignore. Writing. And I know what you're thinking. Writing? That sounds boring. That sounds like homework. I get it. I used to think the same way. But then I discovered something that honestly surprised me. Writing for just 10 minutes a day made my speaking better. It made my vocabulary stronger. It made my grammar more natural. And it didn't feel like work at all. So today, I want to share why writing is a secret weapon for English learners. Not formal writing, not perfect essays. Just simple, messy, honest writing. By the end, you'll know exactly what to write, how to make it easy, and why those 10 minutes might be the most powerful part of your day. Let me be honest with you. For years, I completely avoided writing in English. I would listen to podcasts, watch videos, do grammar exercises, practice speaking with apps. But writing? Nope. I told myself I didn't have time. I told myself it wasn't important. I told myself I just needed to focus on speaking and listening. And I think a lot of learners do the same thing. We see writing as the boring skill, the one that doesn't matter in real life. But here's what I didn't understand back then. Writing isn't just about essays or emails. Writing is thinking. When you write, you force your brain to organize your thoughts clearly. You have to choose the right words. You have to put them in the right order. You can't just mumble and hope the other person understands. You can't use hand gestures or facial expressions. It's just you and the words. And that's hard. But that's also why it's so powerful. I remember the moment I realized I was avoiding writing because I was scared. I was scared to see my mistakes on paper. When I speak, the words disappear. I can forget what I said. But when I write, the mistakes are right there staring at me. And that felt uncomfortable. But then something happened that changed my mind. I was trying to explain something to a friend in English, something about my job, and I kept stumbling over my words. Later that night, I sat down and tried to write what I wanted to say, just in my notebook. And suddenly, it became clear. I could take my time. I could think about each word. I could rearrange the sentences until they made sense. And the next time I had a similar conversation, the words came out so much easier, because I had already practiced organizing them through writing. That's when I realized writing wasn't separate from speaking. It was training for speaking. So let's talk about what actually happens in your brain when you write in English, because once you understand this, you'll see why it's so valuable. First, writing forces you to slow down. When you speak, you might skip over grammar mistakes because you're moving fast. But when you write, you notice them. You see that you always forget the S in third person. You see that you mix up prepositions. And noticing is the first step to fixing. Second, writing builds vocabulary in a deeper way. When you listen to a word, you might understand it. But when you write it, you have to really know it. How is it spelled? How does it fit in a sentence? Writing makes words stick in your memory. Third, writing gives you time to think. In conversation, you're under pressure. You have to respond quickly. But when you write, you can pause. You can look up a word. You can try different ways of saying the same thing. This slow practice builds confidence for fast conversations later. And fourth, writing helps you organize your thoughts. In your native language, you probably think clearly, but in English, your thoughts might feel scattered. Writing helps you practice structuring ideas in English. And when you can structure ideas on paper, you can structure them out loud too. So writing isn't just about the writing itself, it's about training your brain to think in English more clearly and confidently. Okay, so writing is powerful, but let's be real. Most people don't have hours to sit and write. And honestly, you don't need hours. 10 minutes is enough. Here's why this works. First, 10 minutes is short enough that you can't make excuses. You can find 10 minutes. Before breakfast, during lunch, before bed. Second, 10 minutes is long enough to actually write something meaningful. Not a novel, but a few paragraphs. That's enough to practice. Third, 10 minutes keeps it pressure-free. You're not trying to write perfectly. You're just trying to get words on paper. And fourth, doing it daily builds the habit. 1 hour once a week doesn't work as well as 10 minutes every day. So here's the rule I follow. Every morning, right after I wake up, I write for 10 minutes. No editing, no checking grammar, no stopping to look up words, just free writing. Whatever comes to my mind. Some days I write about my plans. Some days I write about how I'm feeling. Some days I write random thoughts about life, food, weather, memories. It doesn't matter what I write. What matters is that I'm using English to express myself. And here's what I noticed after just 2 weeks. My brain started thinking in English more naturally. Words started coming faster when I spoke. I stopped translating from my native language in my head, because every morning I was practicing turning thoughts into English words. Now, I know some people think, okay, 10 minutes sounds good, but what do I actually write about? I don't have anything interesting to say. Let me give you some super easy ideas. Things you can write about without any preparation. Write about your day. Just describe what you did today or what you plan to do. I woke up at 7. I made coffee. I have a meeting at 10. It sounds boring, but it's perfect practice. You're using past tense, present tense, future tense. This is gold. Write about your feelings. How do you feel right now? Tired? Happy? Stressed? Today I feel a bit tired because I didn't sleep well. I'm also excited about the weekend. This helps you practice emotional vocabulary. And it's personal, so it actually means something to you. Write about what you see. Look around you right now. What do you see? I'm sitting in my living room. There's a gray couch. The window is open. This is great for practicing descriptive language. And you don't need to think of a topic. Write a letter to your future self. This one is fun. Write to yourself 1 year from now. What do you hope will happen? Write about a memory. Think of something from your past. A favorite trip, a childhood moment, a funny story. I remember when I was 10, I got lost in a supermarket. This helps you practice past tense in a natural way. And memories are easy to write about. Answer a question. Ask yourself a simple question and write the answer. What's your favorite food and why? If you could live anywhere, where would it be? Questions give you direction. You don't have to think of a topic. Just answer honestly. See? You don't need fancy topics. You just need to start writing. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Now let me share some tips to make this 10-minute writing practice as easy and enjoyable as possible. Because if it feels like a chore, you won't stick with it. Don't edit while you write. This is the most important rule. When you're writing, don't stop to fix mistakes. Don't check if a word is spelled right. Just write. Get your thoughts out. Editing kills creativity and makes writing feel stressful. Use a notebook or your phone. Some people love writing by hand in a notebook. Other people prefer typing on their phone because it's faster. Do whatever feels comfortable for you. I personally love writing in a notebook with a nice pen. It feels cozy. Set a timer. Set a timer for 10 minutes and just write until it goes off. This keeps you focused. When the timer beeps, you're done. Even if you're in the middle of a sentence. Write in a quiet, comfortable place. Find a spot where you feel calm. Maybe it's your kitchen table with tea. Maybe it's your bed in the morning. The environment matters. If you're comfortable, writing feels like a peaceful ritual instead of a stressful task. Don't compare yourself to others. Your writing is for you. It doesn't need to be beautiful or impressive. You're not trying to win a writing contest. You're just practicing thinking in English. Read it out loud sometimes. Every few days, go back and read what you wrote out loud. This is amazing practice. You'll hear mistakes you didn't notice when you wrote them. And reading out loud connects your writing practice to your speaking practice. Let me share what actually changed for me after I started writing 10 minutes every day for a few months. First, my vocabulary expanded naturally. When I wrote, I'd think, how do I say this? And I'd look up a word. And because I used it in my writing, it stuck. I wasn't memorizing random word lists. I was learning words I actually needed to express my thoughts. Second, my grammar improved without studying it. I started noticing patterns. I started feeling when something sounded wrong. Writing helped me internalize grammar rules without drilling them. Third, my confidence grew. Every day that I showed up and wrote, I proved to myself that I could do it, that I could express myself in English. And fourth, my speaking got smoother. Because I had practiced organizing thoughts in English every morning, it became easier to organize thoughts during conversations. The mental muscle I built through writing carried over into speaking. Writing felt like slow-motion practice for real life. Let me talk about mistakes for a second, because I think this stops a lot of people from writing. You're going to make mistakes, lots of them. Grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, weird sentences, and that's completely okay. Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are data. They show you what you need to work on. Also, remember that native speakers make mistakes too. They write the wrong word. They mix up grammar. They delete sentences and start over. Perfection is not the goal. Communication is the goal. If you can get your idea across, even messily, you're winning. So please don't let fear of mistakes stop you from writing. Write messy. Write wrong. Just write. Because 10 minutes of messy writing is infinitely more valuable than 10 minutes of perfect silence. All right, it's time to slow everything down. We've covered a lot today, and I want some of these phrases to really stay in your English. So let's do a calm word tour together. No stress, just listen. Ignore. Ignore means to not pay attention to something, to skip it on purpose. For example, I ignored writing practice for years because I thought it wasn't important. Or, don't ignore your mistakes. Mumble. Mumble means to speak quietly and unclearly, usually because you're nervous. For example, when I'm not confident, I mumble my words. Or, he mumbled something I couldn't understand. Stumble over. Stumble over means to have difficulty saying something smoothly. For example, I kept stumbling over my words when trying to explain my job. Or, she stumbled over the pronunciation. Stick in your memory. This means something stays in your mind. You remember it easily. For example, writing new words helps them stick in your memory. Or, that song really stuck in my memory. Scattered. Scattered means spread out, not organized, messy. For example, my thoughts feel scattered when I try to speak English without preparation. Or his notes were scattered all over the desk. Free writing. Free writing means writing without stopping to edit or think too much. For example, I do 10 minutes of free writing every morning. Or, free writing helps you get ideas out without pressure. Carry over. Carry over means when a skill from one area moves into another area. For example, my writing practice carried over into better speaking. Or, the lessons I learned carried over into my new job. Go back. Go back means to return to something you did before. For example, I sometimes go back and read what I wrote last week. Or, let's go back to that topic we discussed earlier. Internalize. Internalize means to make something part of your natural thinking. For example, writing helps me internalize grammar rules without memorizing them. Or, he internalized the lesson after practicing many times. Show up. Show up means to appear or be present, especially when it takes effort. For example, every day that I showed up and wrote, I built my confidence. Or, just show up and try. Drill. Drill means to practice something repeatedly, over and over. For example, I don't like drilling grammar rules. I prefer learning through writing. Or, we drilled the same vocabulary words for an hour. Get your idea across. This means to successfully communicate what you're thinking. For example, even with mistakes, if you can get your idea across, that's success. Or, I struggled to get my idea across in the meeting. There you go. 12 useful phrases from today's episode. You don't need to memorize all of them right now. Even if 2 or 3 stay with you, that's already amazing. So, before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with one simple challenge. Starting today, write for 10 minutes in English. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be interesting. It just needs to be honest. Write about your day, your feelings, your thoughts. Write in a notebook, on your phone, on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you start. Because 10 minutes of messy writing today will make you a better English speaker tomorrow. It will organize your thoughts. It will build your vocabulary. So here's your tiny homework. Go to the comments and write one sentence. Tell me, what will you write about tomorrow morning? Your day? Your feelings? A memory? Just one sentence. And then actually do it. If this episode inspired you to start writing, please like this video and subscribe to the Millie English podcast. It really helps more learners find this cozy space. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being brave enough to try something new. Writing might feel awkward at first, but I promise it gets easier, and the benefits are incredible. I'm Millie, and you've been listening to the Millie English podcast. Bye.